ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description. All right, y'all should be able to hear me now. Y'all hear me now? So this was a game that was really between two good football teams. I was really looking forward to seeing how San Francisco would bounce back without Fred Warner on the defensive side. They looked out of sorts last week versus Tampa Bay. Granted, Tampa Bay is a really good offense. However, there were coverage busts. There were guys running wide open. Tampa was without their top 4 options at the receiver position, and they still had no answers. And so I wanted to see them bounce back, full week of practice, knowing that Fred wasn't going to come walking through that door. What were the 49ers going to look like? The 49ers had built up enough equity with me to where I was going to give them the benefit of the doubt and trust that Robert Saleh was going to have this unit ready to play football. There's enough young, talented players. They've done a great job of bringing in guys that can step in secondary, linebacker position. They're deep on the defensive line. I just felt like they would find a way to rally. They did exactly that tonight. Meanwhile, for the Atlanta Falcons, winners of 2 straight after the 1-2 start, got shut out on the road at Carolina. Things were dark and bleak for them. They didn't bounce back, beat the Washington Commanders, scored 34 in that game, turned around, went to a bye week, came off that bye, beat Buffalo last week on a Monday night, and all of a sudden they're surging at 3-2 and looking to make a big statement here on the road. Those were 2 wins at home. Could they take their talents on the road to Santa Clara and get this win? I didn't think they were capable of it, and they weren't. And this looked like the Falcons team from early in the season, right? 10 points, not a lot of offense. And this is the thing about the Falcons where they're kind of inconsistent, but the defense is legit. Now, they gave up a ton of ground yards tonight. We'll talk about that. But this is a dangerous Falcons team because in this league, if you can play defense, you got a shot. And the Falcons can play defense. We'll talk more about them in a bit. But to the victors go the spoils. 49ers get it done 20-10 on Sunday Night Football, increasing their record to 5-2 on the season, and NFC West best 5-2. That is a really good division, and they stay on top of it with this win. And let's start there with this victory. This was all about the defense and Christian McCaffrey. Those were the two standouts of the night. You know, McCaffrey was one of those guys you weren't really sure where where he was in terms of health. Could you trust him? And how much he had left to give. And it's pretty safe to say that McCaffrey is not only back, but he is the bell cow for this 49ers team now. Are you running him into the ground with the usage rate that he's, being utilized at? There seems to be no in between with Christian McCaffrey. Either he's being used at a rate that is unsustainable, which is what's happening right now, or he's banged up and you can't use him at all. Seems to be no in between, right? But damn, is he not good. When he is on one of these type heaters, where you can throw it to him 10 times, you can run him 20 times, and he comes out of a game. I mean, how many touches did he have in this game anyway? I'm actually curious. Let's see how many touches he had in this game. My guess is he had upwards of 30 touches. He had 24 rushes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And he's going to catch it at least 6 or 7 times in the game as well. So McCaffrey had 24 carries and another 7 catches. He had over 200 yards of all-purpose offense, 72 yards receiving on 7 catches, 24 carries for 129 yards in both of the 49ers touchdowns on the evening. So when I tell you that this guy is the offense in San Francisco, I'm not bullshitting you. This is what they do. Get the ball to Christian McCaffrey, move the hell out of the way, and play defense. And that was the formula of the night. And McCaffrey was game. And when he's got it going the way that he had it going tonight, this is a tough team to stop because they're going to win time of possession. They're not going to put the ball in harm's way, although Mac Jones did throw a pick. It usually insulates the quarterback, whomever's under center, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, really doesn't matter, because all you got to do is hand it off to 23, and then when he's not getting the ball via handoff, you just got to dump it to him out of the backfield, and he'll do the rest, which is what he did tonight. He was fantastic. He was really the offense for the 49ers. And then the defense rose to the occasion. And that was the thing that I think I was most intrigued by tonight for San Francisco, is like, what is this defense going to look like? Because as I told you on the skill game, was really nervous about what this defense was going to look like life after Fred Warner. I needed to see it with my own 2 eyes. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I said, oh, okay. Fred Warner not out there. That's your green dot guy. Communication's a little off. Okay, I got it. I get it. Now, let's see, with a full week of work, you identifying who's going to step into that role, getting everybody on the same accord in one page. Let's see what it looks like against an offense that coming into the game was playing at a very high level in the Atlanta Falcons. And they stepped up to the challenge tonight. They did what they needed to do defensively. What was his name? What was the guy's name? He stepped in, and I thought he did yeoman-like work. Let me get his name, because he played well, and I got to acknowledge him. Tatum Bethune was outstanding tonight. He stepped in, and this is why I love the 49ers and I love their roster, because they are littered everywhere with young, talented football players on the defensive side of the football. Tatum Bethune, Malik Mustafa, Jair Brown, Daryl Luter. Bryce Huff came over in free agency, right? Or I think via trade. He had a history with your defensive coordinator from his days with the Jets. And he knew that this guy could still play. Philadelphia wasn't a good fit for him. And so Robert Saleh was like, I know how to use Bryce Huff. Let me get him. And he looks like the Bryce Huff that the Jets had when this guy was like instant offense off the bench in terms of getting to the quarterback. Instant pressure off the bench. D. Winters is a guy that I absolutely love. You got Michael Williams, who is a stud out of Georgia, is a rookie defensive tackle out of the first round. Renardo Green, Marquise Siegel, excuse me. And there's other guys that aren't even listed here. Alfred Collins played really well. But Upton Stout isn't listed here because he didn't play tonight. But that's another guy that young and talented. And this team is just dripping and oozing with all kinds of talent that just gets you excited. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't jealous of the talent that they are able to put on the field. Despite all the injuries that they've had this season, including Fred Warner, they finally moved on from, Dre Greenlaw. They've infused a new set of linebackers, a new set and a new wave of defenders to come in here, right? And play the kind of football that's going to allow them to be one of the best teams in the NFC yet again. This is a 49ers team that they started this season off slow due to all the injuries, but they're slowly but surely getting healthier. And you're going to look up. Brock Purdy's going to be back. Brandon Ayuk's going to be back here shortly. You're going to get Ricky Pearsall back here shortly. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see this team get to full strength potentially. And you're like, damn, the 49ers are one of the best teams in football. They've gotten off to this 5-2 start despite all of the adversity, all of the injuries. And this is a mark of great roster building, excellent coaching, which I've always, and you guys know this, always have been a massive fan of Kyle Shanahan's. And they've done a tremendous job, even down to, admitting they made a mistake, right? With the field goal kicking situation. Like, shit happens. You rolled the dice. You went and drafted Jake Moody. I've always told anyone that would listen, you do not draft a place kicker before the 5th round. 5th round and later, I'm good with it. No issues here. Anything prior to the 5th round, you've made a mistake and you're going to pay for that mistake. They drafted Jake Moody in the 3rd round and they had to pay for that. But instead of them doubling down on the mistake, they said, nope, you're not going to tank this season with your bullshit. They cut ties with him. They went out. They got Eddie Pinheiro, and he has been fantastic. Kicked a 55-yarder tonight. Now, that shit I did not think Eddie could do. The Eddie Pinheiro, I know, 53 is about as far as he could kick it. And usually, if you had Eddie kicking it from that far, the shit wasn't going to be accurate. Eddie has been money, and not only has he been money, but that 55-yarder showed me that the leg is there. It wouldn't have been good for much more than 55, maybe 56. I don't know if that shit was good from 57. But that they knew his range, put him out there, and he delivered, and he's done nothing but deliver since he's gotten there. And so shout out to them for finding ways to put themselves in the best position to succeed. And one of the things they had to do was move on from Jake Moody in order to succeed. And so they've pressed all the right buttons despite all of the injuries. I don't think there's a team that has persevered more in the face of adversity this year due to injuries than the San Francisco 49ers. And for them to be sitting here at 5-2 is a testament to their ability to overcome the circumstances that they were placed in, but more importantly, build a roster that allows them to overcome the adversity that they face. And Robert Saleh has done wonders for this defense. Shanahan has done wonders for the offense, whether it's Mac Jones or it's Brock Purdy. McCaffrey being healthy, godsend for them. Obviously, he's been the MVP of this team to start the season off. But make no mistake about it, going out and getting Kendrick Bourne, where would they be without him, right? Finding a way to get a guy like Jake Tonjes to step up in the absence of George Kittle, who came back tonight. It was good to see him back out on the football field. To be able to get these guys to step up and play the way that they did in the absence of all the players that were out, and then to see guys starting to come back tonight. But this was more about the defense and Christian McCaffrey tonight. This was old school San Francisco 49ers football. This wasn't Mac Jones on a Thursday night against the Rams dropping back 50 times and slinging the bitch all around the field. This was San Francisco 49ers football tonight. Punch you in the face, right? Get punched in the face, get up off the canvas, keep fighting like hell, bludgeon you to death with the run game, make enough stops defensively, get after your quarterback, be physical, out physical you, out tough you, outlast you, win the football game. This is 49ers football right here. This is what we've come accustomed to during this run that they've had when they've been one of the most prolific teams in the NFC. This is what we've come accustomed to right here. 20-10, this type of ball game. They've shown you now that they can win the 16-15 game. Did that against Arizona earlier this season. Still don't know how the hell they won that game. 20-10, physical, beat you up, run the football type of contest. And I'll throw it 50 times if I have to, go on the road and beat the Los Angeles Rams. So they've shown you a variety of ways that they can win this season. This was really impressive. And I'm not sure that this 49ers team, I know they lost to Tampa Bay. And I know that Tampa's got a better record technically. We'll see what they do on Monday night. So it's hard to be able to say that they're better than Tampa. I'm not sure that the team I watched tonight isn't the best team in the NFC. I love what Detroit is. And Detroit can play this type of football too. I just think I trust San Francisco more in this type of environment. It's going to be interesting to see when the 49ers get all of their stuff back. Because it's systematically going to happen. They're going to keep getting guys back here over the next month. And as they get Purdy back, and as they get Ayuk back, and as they get Ricky Pearsall back, and as this thing starts to come together for them, I wonder what this is going to all look like. And if they can build off of what they've started here at 5-2, I'm not sure that this isn't the best team in the NFC. This was impressive because Atlanta was playing really good. And not to mention, Atlanta came into this game with the #1 defense in football. And Atlanta played really well tonight. They just couldn't stop the run. Credit San Francisco for finding that weakness and applying pressure to it all night long. All night long, all night, all night long, all night. They applied pressure. They found the weakness and they pushed the button. They couldn't stop the run tonight. Whether it was Brian Robinson Jr. or it was Christian McCaffrey, they had no answers for the run game of the San Francisco 49ers. And they kept running it down their throats and they couldn't do anything about it. Shout out to Mac Jones for steadying the ship. It wasn't pretty tonight. He did have the interception, and this wasn't like some of the games we've seen Mac Jones play, that again, the Rams game stands out above the rest. Like, wow. Tonight he just needed to manage. Just manage. And he did that. Despite the turnover, he managed. And you look up, they're 5-2. And with him in the lineup, they're what, 4-1 this season? You can't ask your backup quarterback to come in and play any better. Brock Purdy's played in what, 2 games this year? If I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, he's played in 2 games this year. And they're 1-1. Seattle game and the Jacksonville game, I believe. I could be wrong about that Jacksonville game. I know Purdy played in another game in there somewhere that they lost. And I think the Jacksonville game is the one that they lost that he played in. And I know Mac Jones lost to Tampa Bay, and that's the only 2 losses that they have. But you can't ask your backup quarterback to come in and steady the ship more than Mac Jones has. So hats off to him. Hats off to him. Again, this is the 5-2 start by San Francisco is a full total organizational start to the season. It's everyone deserves credit for this. From John Lynch all the way down to Eddie Pinheiro. Like, everybody deserves credit for this. Big win. This is a big win. Atlanta was playing with a ton of confidence. They came into this game with a ton of confidence, and Bijan Robinson came in as one of the hottest running backs in football, and Michael Penix was feeling himself. This was with the #1 defense that was forcing turnovers, getting after the quarterback. This was a big win. That was a Atlanta Falcons team that was feeling really good about what they were doing. Conversely, you look at Atlanta, and you have to give credit to Atlanta, despite the loss tonight, dropping the 500 on the season at 3-3. This is a gritty team. Atlanta is. I hate their coaching staff. They're not going to win anything of note because Raheem Morris isn't good at game management and overall clock management, game management. He's not overall good at overall situational awareness. They get down there right before the half, got a chance at a field goal. I understand that you want to take a shot at the end zone, but to be able to get in the field goal range in that manner, 2 plays, you're down there, you shouldn't be putting your young second-year quarterback who's making what his 9th career start, I believe, tonight, 10th, at max 10th career start. I'm not putting him in that position to potentially have a intentional grounding with a 10-second runoff that allows us to not even get an attempt of a field goal off. Like, that's dumb football 101. And we've seen Raheem Morris mangle the clock throughout his tenure here as a Falcons head coach. We've seen them have too many of these types of situations. Last week, they have a chance to score and put the knockout blow on Buffalo, and Drake London steps out of bounds at the 1-yard line with time expired, so they don't get anything on that. And it always comes back to Raheem Morris. But forget about all that. This is a gritty Falcons team. And despite it not being the best night offensively for them, and this offensive performance tonight, to me, is more in line with what they were prior to the Commanders game when they got their swag. This is who they were. You know, week 1, I think they scored 20-something against Tampa. That was a fun game, but they lost. Week 2, they win, 22-6 against the Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Week 3, they get shut out against the Carolina Panthers. That's who they had been, like a team that wasn't going to light the scoreboard up, but find ways to get it done. Then all of a sudden, 34 on the Commanders. Last week, you know, even though I think they only scored 21 points, I believe 24, something like that, it felt like they could have scored 30 or 40 in that game had they made a couple more plays. Drake London doesn't step out of bounds before halftime, etc. But tonight was one of those games where it felt like, all right, you say your defense is number one in the league, prove it. And the defense was up to the task, except for stopping the run. But even that didn't necessarily translate to points for San Francisco. They did a really good job of keeping them out of the end zone, forcing them to have to settle for field goals, taking the ball away one time on the interception by Ellis. The Falcons, they don't necessarily wow you with any names defensively, but as a unit, they play really well. And they gave every opportunity to their offense tonight to win this game. And unfortunately for them, the offense was just not up to the task. I thought Pitts played really well tonight. It was good to see him get active tonight. Thought we would see London a little bit more active. He was on a tear over the last 2 games for the Falcons. He wasn't as good tonight. It was good to see Darnell Mooney get back involved. They missed him a couple of times, but ultimately, Bijan is to the Falcons what Christian McCaffrey is to the 49ers, and neither of those guys disappointed. And unfortunately for them, though, there just wasn't enough splash plays that you get from Bijan that they had over the last 2 games. And so you don't get those big explosives that lead to touchdowns. You got to grind it out. You got to find ways to overcome, misses or no gains, or, credit the 49ers. They were able to really play those perimeter runs, which is what the Falcons thrive off of. They had a big 3rd down there on a toss, and the 49ers were all over it. They're able to play that perimeter run game really well defensively because they've got so much team speed defensively, do the 49ers. And the Falcons live off of that outside zone, tosses, things to the outside that get you on that C and D gap, get you outside of the tackles. Then they just couldn't live out there in this game. And that's where Bijan is at his best, whether it's in the pass game, run game, getting him out into space. And those opportunities didn't present themselves the way it had the previous 2 weeks for him. And you got to credit the 49ers defense for that. But they did the Falcons in this game. There's no consolations. There's no moral victories. You didn't win the game. But this was a tough task. This was a tough environment to have to go into and win. And you didn't do it. But you fought. And you showed that you weren't overmatched. You weren't in over your head. And the thing I wonder about with Atlanta, and I think it's a fair question to ask, is do you have enough horsepower offensively? Because I think this defense is actually good. Now, you gave up a little bit more than you would have liked to on the ground tonight, and you can't live that way moving forward, but it didn't amount to a ton of points. You give up 20 in an NFL game, and you should have a chance to win. But you score 10 in an NFL game, and you should lose the game. More likely than not, you should lose the game. So you did enough defensively to give yourself a chance. You didn't do enough offensively to give yourself a chance. But in that NFC South, this Falcons team is definitely going to be someone to reckon with. But having already lost to Tampa at home puts you in a tough spot. But if they can hang around, they're better than the Saints. They should be better than the Panthers. They already got smoked by the Panthers. But I think the Panthers caught them at the right time. I think if they were to play the Panthers next week, they'd be in a much better position to beat the Panthers than the last time they saw Carolina. So I think this is the second best team in that division. But what does that mean? I don't know. I don't know. But what I saw from them tonight is that they can compete, but are they capable of beating upper echelon teams? We thought last week after they beat Buffalo, maybe they could be on to something. I think they got a bit of a rude awakening. And Michael Penix got beat up tonight. That Falcons pressure was on his ass tonight. Huff and company, they were getting after him consistently tonight. And we've seen this from Michael Penix. When he doesn't have time or he isn't standing tall and comfortable in the pocket, he's a different quarterback. Different quarterback because he doesn't want to run. He does not want to run. And then you can see it taking its toll on him. Late in the game, he was sporadic. He was off. Again, credit the San Francisco 49ers defense for that. Interesting contest. Falcons hang tough, but it wasn't enough. 49ers get it done 20-10. Improved to 5-2 in the season. Falcons dropped to 500 at 3-3. And we'll see what the Falcons look like moving forward. See what the 49ers look like as they continue to get healthier. Got Kittle back tonight. We assume that Purdy will be back next week. And he may bring some friends with him. Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall, etc. So this is a really interesting team. Really interesting team, to say the least. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the skill game. Brought to you by a Sleeper. We'll come back on the other side, get to the comment section. If there's not a lot there, we'll just get out of here.
The skill game, brought to you by Sleeper.
All right. So I really didn't check Sleeper today as much as I should have. I won't hold you. I didn't check it as much as I normally do to see how my picks are going, etc. But I know they didn't hit. I had some really outlandish, way out there picks this week that could have netted me a ton of money, but I needed a lot of specific things to happen. That said, Sleeper is a fantasy sports and real money gaming app that focuses on bringing people together through sports and gaming. If you haven't already downloaded this app, I don't know what you're waiting on, but there's a link in the description of this video and every single video that I do that would allow you to download the app. Once you've done so, make sure you verify. Make sure that Sleeper is available in your state. It's available in over 25 states in the U.S. Once you've done that and you've verified yourself and you're locked in, $20 free. You ain't got to do nothing other than download the app, verify, get all of that squared away. $20 free in the month of October. And then on top of that, use my promo code LTN to get you up to $100 deposit match, 100%, match on your first deposit up to $100. So let me say that again so you can understand that more clear. Get your first deposit 100% matched up to $100. When you use the promo code LTN, that means if you put in $100, they're going to give you an additional $100 to use on the app. And you don't need a lot to win a lot on this app. So let's see how that these picks went. Obviously, I did not win. Had Bijan receiving yards. That's a given. McCaffrey receiving yards. That's a given. I could have easily taken a Bijan touchdown. That would have been a given. And a McCaffrey touchdown. That would have been a given. I still wouldn't have won because if I had not taken those, I still would have had like a Kendrick Bourne who didn't pan out tonight. 46.5 yards. He had been killing it. This was a big, heavy run night for McCaffrey. Bourne, only 2 catches, 14 yards. So I still would have struck out here regardless. But I was thinking Kittle comes back. Maybe he gets in the end zone. Use check down by the goal. They got down to the 1. And I was like, play action fake, throw it to use check. Of course, they didn't do that. They just gave it to McCaffrey, and he walked in the end zone. And then Algier, he's a battering ram. They get down there. They like to give it to him. It just never materialized tonight. So that didn't happen either. But again, This one didn't come close. But this one was very specific, and I knew that when I put this together. I was like, if it hit, your boy is killing it, but it didn't hit. I just wanted to look at my kickers because I did it earlier, but I didn't really look at it. So Chad Ryland had him in the game this afternoon against the Packers. That hit. Will Reichert killed it against the Eagles because the Vikings couldn't get in the end zone. They lived in the red zone, couldn't get in the end zone today. 5 field goals is crazy. Nick Folk, the Jets stink. Man, they stink. And so you knew they were going to kick field goals. The question was, would they get down there enough to kick at least 2? And they did. Will Lutz only kicked 1 field goal. That's crazy. It ended up being the game winner. Thought that the Giants and Denver would produce more opportunities for field goals. Neither of those teams, either you weren't scoring or you were scoring a touchdown in this game. It was no real in between, which was crazy. Blake Groupie, I knew I was done for because this was a 1 o'clock game and he missed his first field goal attempt. It reminded me so much of Falcons, Panthers. John Parker Romo, the serial kicker, missed his first kick from like 50-something yards. And that was it for me that week. He didn't ever get another opportunity, or he missed another one, but he was cooked after that. Same thing with Blake Groupie. If he'd have made that first field goal, they would have come back to him and he would have kicked another one, but they started going for it, being more aggressive because, one, they needed to because he missed the first time, so it put them down 9 instead of 6, whereas if he would have made the first one, they would have kicked another one, then it would have only been down 3. So it changed the whole dynamics of the game. Indy only kicked 1 field goal. Man, I got to stop sleeping on the Colts, man. Jesus, they're good. I watched that game today. They're really good. Really, 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 really good. So those were my bets. Nothing panned out for me today. Not a surprise. I'm on a massive losing streak, but I'm not even going to sit here and tell you that, oh, I'm going to get it next time. I'm going to hit soon. I know it. But I was greedy this weekend. That was my problem. This weekend, I was so greedy. My eyes were way bigger than my stomach. I saw all these picks and I was like, yo, if this shit hit, I was being real greedy this week. So I got what I deserved. Anyway, if you're out there, get this app. Stop playing. Like just off of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks, I could have won over 15. I think it was over $1,500. I could have won, or I think it was over $2,000. I could have won based off these picks. So it don't take much. This is a $15 bet. Get the app, use the promo code LTN, and get you an opportunity to get 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. You won't be sorry. Trust me. This is an app that you definitely want to have.
The Skill Game, brought to you by Sleeper.
All right. So let's get to the comment section real quick, and then we'll get out of here. All right. Niners fan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Niners fan writes, brought home the dub. CMC saved my life for real. Best in the league. He's back. That's all I can say. And this game was more about the defense for me, like going in. And then tonight, he just took over offensively. Like, he was the offense. Over 200 yards of total offense, 7 catches, 72 yards, 150 yards. I think it was 129 yards on 24 carries, and a touchdown. That's 31 touches. Like, he was Mr. Do It All tonight. But I really wanted to see what this defense looked like without Fred Warner, and they rose to the occasion tonight. So that was really impressive. I'm just so impressed with the amount of young players defensively that you guys have contributing on that defense. That's the thing that I always am so like impressed by is where you find these guys, how you keep the cupboard stocked full of linebackers and defensive linemen and guys in the secondary. Like, what's the dude number 26? What's his name? He almost had a pick. It went right through his damn hands, but shit, that was great coverage on that fourth down. His name is Chase Lucas. Who the fuck is Chase Lucas? I'm about to find out right now. Arizona State. He's 28 years old, so he didn't just get in the league. Maybe he just got to San Francisco. Let's check his bio out. He's been in the league for a minute now. This is his third season in the NFL. He started out with the Detroit Lions, and he's been in San Francisco, I think, for the last 2 years. I ain't never heard of the dude till tonight, and he looked like a hooper, and he fit right in with the rest of the goddamn hoopers on your team. It feels like you find these dudes everywhere, under every rock, every nook, every cranny. You seem to find athletically gifted dudes who get it defensively, and it's fun to watch. Definitely jealous. It's fun to watch. So this was impressive. You guys look like one of the better teams in the NFC again, but you're used to this, right? You ain't new to this. You true to this, right? LT, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. LT writes, how many games Hurts needs like this for your cred? No, Hurts played well today. I thought it was really gutsy on the part of your offensive coordinator with the game on the line to go double move to AJ. That shit was insane. I did not see that coming, which is why they got beat. But like I said, I was shocked that they didn't heat him up more because he doesn't respond to pressure very well. And again, the offensive line held up, so he was able to get those one-on-one matchups. He get one-on-one, he usually don't miss. But when you force him to have to process fast, that's when he struggles. He does not process fast as a quarterback. And, you know, when they did get to him, you saw the results. But he's a guy that if you give him time, he's not going to miss those one-on-one opportunities. And he had some big ones today. And they just couldn't get him on the ground, and he played well. Perfect passer rating. I think he only had like 3 incompletions or something like that in the game. I mean, he was outstanding today. But it doesn't change the way that I feel. Like you always try to get me to say something like I'm going to say something different. It's the same shit that I always say. He's a really good quarterback, but he's never going to be what you want him to be, or in terms of an upper echelon quarterback. He's really good for what he's asked to do. That's never going to change. So he's a good football player. Like I said, he's perfect for the Philadelphia Eagles and what they ask him to do. So another good win, but I'll say this. You're not better than the 49ers. You're not. I don't think you're better than the Rams, even though you did beat them. I'm not sure you're better than Tampa Bay. It's funny because a lot of times when you guys play teams, you play them without their best players. Y'all get them at the right time. You got Tampa at the right time. I think the Rams were fine. They had their guys. They just couldn't. And this is one thing I got to give y'all credit for. Y'all get stops in the red zone. Y'all play really good red zone defense. It saved you against the Rams. It saved you again today. They were all up and down inside your red zone. I mean, they was all running up and down the field on your ass. Up and down the field. They did whatever the hell they wanted to do until they got to the red zone. And I'm just going to be honest with you. That shit ain't going to work every week. Letting teams do whatever the hell they want to do. And then, we just going to clamp down in the red zone. It worked this week. But it ain't going to work every week. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but Hurts was fantastic today. He was fantastic today. So, that's the only comments that I had. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here. It's been a long day for the kid. A long day. I'm exhausted. Big win for the San Francisco 49ers. This was impressive. This was impressive. And I actually gained some more respect for the Atlanta Falcons, even though they lost. I gained some respect for them. But I do think there is a ceiling. There is a cap on what they can be this season because I don't think their offense is consistent enough. And I think their coach bottlenecks what they can be because he's not very good at his job. So I do think there are limitations with the Atlanta Falcons, but I do think this is a really gritty and tough team. But the 49ers embody grittiness and toughness. We've seen what they've gone through this season, and they, I think, come out on the other side because I think they're going to only get healthier and healthier from here. And don't look now, but the San Francisco 49ers, after this 20-10 win over the Atlanta Falcons, who were streaking coming into this game, winners of 2 straight, are now 5-2. They are now 5-2. Look out for the San Francisco 49ers. Anyhow, I digress. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you guys next time. Really appreciate y'all kicking it with the kid. Until then, I'll see y'all tomorrow. We got a doubleheader. 2 of them tomorrow. 2 really good ones tomorrow at that. So look forward to chopping it up with you tomorrow. Monday night double, and it's a true doubleheader. They're not simultaneously, they're staggered. 7 and then 10. So what I might ultimately do is jump on after the first one and then jump on again after the second one. I'll figure out how I want to go about it. But we got 2 tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to watching those and chopping it up with you guys tomorrow about them. But until then, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. 49ers get the win 20-10, improve to 5-2 on the season. Falcons have their 2-game win streak snapped and drop to 3-3 on the season. I will see you guys next time. Until then, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. God bless. Good night.